Hey everyone, my name is Trevor Heath. I am CEO and CTO of Watchtower, and I'm super excited today to share with you some new features we have on our reporting tab. The reporting tab's been a part of the Watchtower platform for some time. However, it's got a little facelift, some new charts and graphs to help you better analyze the amazing work you do on a regular basis and really understand what type of data you've been collecting over these last few months. So as we start out, we're on the home base. I just want to make sure we have our bearings. Up here we have our navigation. Keep in mind, reporting is available in mobile on any device as well, so you can pull up these charts and graphs anywhere. So we're just going to go over here to the reporting tab and we're going to click over to that. Cool, so now that we're on the reporting tab, you'll notice it's a little different if you've been on it before. I'm going to run through it from top to bottom, and then we'll go through a quick example of looking through our data. So at the top here, we will see some filters and some drop downs that help us refine our data. We'll be using those shortly. We have a little activity overview. This shows us some high-level information about what took place based on the drop downs we select. We have a time breakdown, which is a graph over time of different pieces of data you've been collecting. And lastly, down here, there's nothing that you'll notice yet. However, this is where we'll see some geographic data on your beach, so you can see some heat mapping and where incidents are taking place. Cool. So let's start up here. You'll notice here it says today. This is a test account, so some of the data is not perfect, but it gives us a good place to play with. But today there hasn't been a lot going on, so we want to kind of expand this and look at some larger time frames. So I have two ways of doing that. I can either select a quick choice from here, today, last 7, or last 30, or if I want, I can do a custom date range using the date range drop downs that we provide. We're just going to use a preset. We're going to go with last 30 days, and we're going to let that load really quick. You'll notice the loading indicators. We're going and grabbing all that incident information. Cool. So at the top, back to the activity overview, you'll notice 3 cards. The first card is how many calls for service we had in that 30 days. Pretty simple. Next, we had the total incident types. You'll notice there's more incident types than calls for service. That's because with our quick stat feature, you're able to notate multiple things that happen on a single call. For example, you go on a rescue and you also have a preventative action. We can bundle those together if you're using that feature. If you're not, reach out. We'd be happy to help you get that set up. But this allows you to kind of get an idea of all the different things you've done, how many calls. So a little bit more than the calls, not a big deal. And then we also can see the total people affected in these calls, which is notated right here. So a nice little overview. As we scroll down, we're going to see a bunch of line graphs. On the left, we're going to see going up and down. 1 to 14 is the total number of times this took place. And then on the bottom, on the x-axis, we're going to see 30 days of dates, which we will be able to see what took place over time. Up here, you see a key. This key is color-coded. These colors actually do come from your settings. So if you are setting a color for your rescues in your prevents, it will use the colors in your settings, which is really cool. If you don't have colors, no problem. We auto-generate those for you. Some of these are auto-generated just to make sure it's easy to distinguish what you're looking at. So let's take this graph. It's a lot to look at right now, and let's break it down to just rescues and prevents. We can easily do that by clicking through our key at the top, and we will cross out all of these different stat categories. Perfect. Now we're looking at a pretty simple 2-line chart over time and total incidents for prevents, which are purple, and rescues, which are this black color. You can go through. We can hover over different days on the chart and get an idea of how much action or how many of these took place. So as we see on July 15th, there was 2 preventative actions and 1 rescue. And this is a great way, if we have multiple different categories overlaid on each other, we could start to get some ideas of maybe how these interact with one another. And when we have more prevents and less rescues, ultimately trying to find ways to improve our our efficiency as an organization. We could say, hey, we want to really decrease the amount of rescues we're making, increase those preventative actions, and be more proactive. Things like that become a lot more noticeable, and you can really analyze if the practices you're putting in place are improving by looking at something like this time chart. Perfect. So I'm going to click some of these keys back on, put all that data right back on there really easily, and I'm going to scroll down. So at the bottom here, this is what we call our geographic breakdown. It's taking all the same data that we had above, and it's going to allow us to look at it in a geographic setting. Here is our beach. We're going to see a couple circles here. We see I'm going to zoom in a little. We see a 1 up here, an 11, a 1, and a 1 with colors. These colors are pertaining to the type of incidents. However, more than one type of incident can take place at a single location. So let's jump through here and take a look. So basically, if we click this first one, we're going to see at this latitude, longitude, we've had a preventative action in the last 30 days, which involved 3 people. There's a plus button here, which means I can drill down a little further and see what type of preventative action took place. In this case, there was 1 prevent RIP swimmer with 3 people. This is all the same incident. It's just breaking it down so you can see the type. Here we also had, it looks like almost the same thing, except for this case, it was only 1 person. And then up here, we're going to see an 11. Let's take a look at that one. A lot of things are happening at this location for some reason. Oh, wow. Okay, so there's been a contact with 5 people. There was a minor medical aid, a major medical aid, an aquatic response, a rescue, a boat. Obviously, this data will pertain to the types of categories you collect, and this is just test information, but it gives you an idea of how you can really drill into a place and really understand what's happening there. So here we've had 5 people were contacted, provided information. We had a jellyfish sting. We had a major medical abrasion. We had an aquatic response with no subcategories. And then we had, 5 rescues, 1 of which were surf, 2 of which were rip current swimmers. And obviously, I guess the last 3 were just rescues with no additional info. And then we even had some boat incidents as well. We can click through them and look. Just giving you a really good idea of all the things that are happening along the beach. We even had 1 other incident here, an unknown type, which is using our unknown incident feature on dispatching. But there's an unknown type here, which we can take a look at. Super cool. So let's try to drill this data down a little bit further. So let's say we want to only see a certain type of rescue. Let's say we want to see the one we saw down there, which was rescues, I believe RIP swimmer. Let's look at that. So in the last 30 days, we're going to look at rescues, RIP current, swimmer. There we go. So we've had 13 calls for service, 13 incident types, and 23 people affected with the tag rescues, RIP current swimmer. If I want, I can add other types to this, but this really allows us to drill it down. So now this graph, I'm just seeing that specific, very granular type of data, and I'm able to see just that trended over time, which is really cool. If I scroll down, you'll notice there was a couple on the map earlier that we looked at. I'll just zoom out really quick, and look, 2 of them were tagged with geographic data. Obviously, geographic data you have to tag when you submit, so only 2 of these have been tagged, but I can see exactly where those took place. They involved these 6 people, and they took place right here. So super cool how you can drill into that and really understand your data. Lastly, I'm not going to use it right this second, but you can drill in by type of unit or location. So this could be a truck or a tower. You can also drill in even by the people who were on the call, so you can get really granular data with these same 3 primary charts and really understand everything that's happened at your beach over a certain time span. This is our first version of this, and we're super excited to launch it. Please share any feedback, any issues you find, any questions you have, and we're looking forward to really improving this part of our platform so you get the best out of all this data you've been collecting. So thank you so much for choosing Watchtower, and we look forward to hearing how you guys love this. So keep with it, and thank you.